One of the things I want to caveat is what is on the web is what we know today. What we will know tomorrow will improve the web. So it's just a moment in time. And I want to make that extremely clear because we're always finding information. A gentleman from Texas reached out to me the other night and said, in the merit badge cards, there's some things that are need changing. It's like, great. Let's get that information, in and up so that we are always updating and improving. So think of this as a moment in time of what we know at this moment, but it's always changing because we're learning about history. So this is the website, and currently we've got over 21,000 images up on the site, and that is growing every week. The deployment plan from the primary group that's working on this is we want to get all of the boy uniform insignia up on the site first. That's stuff like interpreter and rank and combos and merit badges and position and skill awards, handicap numerals. Again, we're talking about uniform insignia. And then we'll start moving in, and we've already started moving into the adult position and veteran stuff. And then we'll get nautical, and then we'll move into the exploring. So eventually we'll have as much as possible that we can have as a reference guide up. So who's all involved? So there's a bunch of people contributing. And in some cases they're contributing with, here's a comment of something that needs to change. In some cases they're contributing with, and here are badges that you can photograph. And, in some cases they're contributing with, and I'll write an article about the history because, I wrote a book and I want to share what's in the book on the website. So, and I'm sure I've missed a bunch of people, but the community is coming together to make a reference guide, if you will, for insignia with images, documentation, and so forth. And anybody can contribute. We're looking for information to, enhance the site. So this is the site that's up on the web today. It's active, it's live, it's new and improved. We did a release this summer, and a lot of people were involved in doing editing and doing testing to make sure the site functions and works well. So up at the top, you can see the categories that we have loaded information into. So we've got interpreter, under interpreter, you've got, some, and I'll go deeper. I just want to go across the headers first. There's introduction. There's each one of the different interpreter type strips with pictures. In merit badge paper, there's applications, there's cards, there's all the pamphlets. There's the Boy Scout, the Boy Craft helps from the early time period. In merit badges, there's all the different types of merit badges, and we'll dive into that. Same thing in rank, all of the different ranks, all the different components, whether it be the pins, the badges, the citations, the cards, the certificates. There's images of all of it. Youth position, we're starting in the adult, starting with the troop level, and then we'll move to the district, then the council, and so forth. Everything you wanted to ever know about patrol medallions, all the different stuff, skill awards, and handicap. So that's the categories of stuff that's up there today. So let me dive in and give you some examples. So I'm going to dive into, first class and go over here to the large pins from first class. And when you get into here, you get into the actual images. And Mike Fagenbaum was nice enough to allow me to photograph his first pin, and it's up, as well as lots of others. So when you get here, it tells you the pin. This is an approximate time the pin was manufactured. We don't know exactly, but we know an approximate. So we're trying to tell people, here's an approximate of when this thing was made. Now, the interesting thing is, we all know that when the first one was made and then the second was made, they didn't throw the first ones away if they had leftover. They could have been used for the next 10 years or sit in some council office, and 20 years later, they got issued. We've actually got a merit badge card that was issued in the 1950s, and stapled to it is a square merit badge. So, you know, the dates are around manufacture, not when somebody might have used it. So what you can do here is you can look and you can see this tells you all about the pin and why it's different. There's two little icons that you can touch. One is a magnifying glass, and it will enlarge the image. Okay. And then left and right, you can scroll to the other images that are on the same page. Okay. We'll come back to this image. Then there is this icon that creates a link. Okay. If you click on this little icon, then it takes you one level deeper, and you can get to the images that, for instance, like if you want to see the hallmark on the back of the Foley, there's the hallmark on the back of the Foley. You know, if you are looking for, you know, what does the pin look like? You know, you get images. And if you'd like, if you want to know what it took to earn the badge, the requirements for that time period are here. So you can actually look at this and go, see what it took to earn the badge. Now, if, like Al, you've been around in scouting a while. So if you were sitting there with your grandson, you could compare what you had to do to earn first class with what they had to do to earn first class. You could have a great conversation about that by going to the site. So the other thing that you can do here, up here, is you can see more like other first class rank pins. But I'm going to go back to this page. And here you have the option of either showing 12 on a page, or you can show 24 or 36. So you can, you know, you can bump it up so you can see more, because sometimes there's a lot more than 12 or whatever. The other thing you can do on any of the pages is right here. It says, oh, download checklist. Okay. So what is a download checklist? Well, if you click that button, it'll actually download a checklist. I've already done that. And you get, say, for instance, for your first class checklist, this is what your download or your PDF that would come to your computer would look like. It would have a picture of each of the items, all of the information about it, and it just gives you a checklist that you can carry around or download to your laptop or your iPad or whatever. So back to the site, let's look at some other things. So let's go back to first class, and let's look at cards. So cards. So here's the card, you know, that started, it was from 10 to 12. We're missing the one that was 13 to 19. So when we're missing something, we put this up there. And people actually write to us and go, oh, I have one of those. And we go, great. Can we get a scan? Can we get a photo? Can we enhance the site? And lots of people have done that. So here you can see all of the first class card variations that have been around through time. They're all here. All the different types, all the different printings and the printing dates, everything is here for your research if you wanted to do something. Okay. How about scorecards? You guys remember these? For those of us that were in scouting during the time that you got one of these and you did the stuff and you got it signed off. Yep, they're all here. Or how about, let's go to look at jewelry that was for first class. And here you got your two different types. You can see them in detail. Again, if you want to go to large images, you can go to large images. If you want to dive in and see the detail, We have images so you can see, side views, see the difference in, in what, this little thing that clips, on the top of your tie looks like. So there's lots of information. And again, here it tells you what each of the different figures, there's pertinent information about, the figures themselves. So let's go over here to Patrol for a second. So here in Patrol, Dave Pattison up in New England has done a marvelous job with this section. So there is, for each of the sections, there's a little bit of history that he has created. And it talks about like the shoulder knot. It talks about when it was released, and he's done the research in the handbooks and the boys' lives and so forth. So you can read about the history and when the different ones came out, how much they cost, all that kind of good stuff. But in like the knots, we have most of them, but you can see we're missing some images. And we're looking for good images of several of these that we don't have. I'm sure, Mike, you might have some of these, others might have some of these. We do have some hard ones. Pink and pink for hawk is pretty tough. Pink and black for hippo is pretty tough. Not many kids wanted to wear pink. So we don't suspect there's many of these out there. But again, they're here. The images are crisp. You can see them and understand what you have and do comparisons. Other Patrol, let's see. So there is some unique stuff in Patrol. So let's look at things like, how about handmaids? There are not many people out there that realize that these were made, but during a period of time, scouts were encouraged to make handmaids to go on the uniform rather than the ribbons. So there's a bunch of different ones of these that, we have found and discovered and people have in their collections, and we photograph them and put them up. So remember my presentation I did a few weeks ago, or no, it was last year about this time, on Assistant Scoutmaster. So that's troop level. We can go in Assistant Scoutmaster. We can go to cloth badges. And Michael, you'll notice that the very first one is that little one. Your comments made us really think hard, and we moved it to here because we do think it's around 11, as what you had indicated. So all of the different Assistant Scoutmasters are here. If you go deep into them, you'll get images that are the fronts, the backs, and then you can do enlargements that really drive into so that you can see what yours looks like and compare yours to anyone on the site, and you can determine which one it is. We've been as careful as we can about getting them in the right order based upon information that's been on uniforms and so forth, and or trying to match them up with other positions that are similar and when those positions were available and not available. Again, in Assistant Scoutmaster, let's look at we'll go to lapel pins. So again, all the lapel pins for Assistant Scoutmaster are here, all the different ones through time. Let me go back up here and grab and go to 36. So starting in 12, and it takes you all the way through all the different varieties of the ones from the 40s and 50s. Again, an example, if you go up here and you hit the download checklist, you might get something that looks like this. It'll show each of the different pins and the information that goes with them, so that you can, if you want to go collect these, you can. So let's drive into merit badges. So under merit badges are all of the different types through history. There is some historical stuff. Roy Moore is in the process of writing an ISCA article that will be released. I know Mike has been contributing. I've been contributing to that article. We will probably load that up here after it comes out in ISCA. But in Square, if we look at Square, we've got some people that are pretty anal in this community. So I'll give you an example. So I don't know if any of you know the name Jeff Hall. Okay, so Jeff Hall is an architect and he only collects architect merit badges. So Jeff has taken on the architect merit badge as kind of his mission. So if you're ever in trying to, look at architect merit badges again, you see the image, you can enlarge it, get a nice image of it, or you can drive into it by going deeper. And I'll show you Jeff's work. So here you've got, the front, the back, and Jeff has created the ultimate guide to architecture. He said if a kid's going to learn architecture, then he needs to understand the badge that he's got. So Jeff put all of the different official architectural terms on the badge so that it's correct. Now, in addition to seeing the badge, you get to see here are the merit badge pamphlets that were used at this time when this badge was out there, and the requirements to earn the badge. Other information about you can get for merit badges, let's look at embroidery types here. So here we talk about the machines that were actually used to make the badges. We have pictures of them and talk about those. And you can actually see a guy sitting now. Of course, we didn't have a picture of a merit badge being made, but this is the machine that was used. And there's information about it. You can see the actual needles that were used in the machine and how they're double-ended, and how that, it talks about how they're created so that you see the front and the back. Then it talks about the lock stitch and why it's different and how the front and the backs look different. And then here's the Schiffel machine with the tapes and how that machine works. So there's detailed information about history here. As well as if we wanted to look at, so let's look at copyright protection on badges. So it talks about the brown imprint versus the black imprint. It shows you the imprint. Here's the pattern of the imprints and the spacing. You can actually see a blow up. And then most people don't understand that the lines on the back were actually printed. So you can see the seal and here are the lines, and it talks you through that. Then it talks you through all of the other different imprints and so forth. So again, you can drive into here and on the paper. We can look at merit badge cards and do a refresh. Look at merit badge cards, and these are all the cards through history starting in 11. All the different varieties with all the different seals and signatures and combo stuff. And again, we're missing a few, but we just learned a couple of those don't even exist. Because there's a gentleman down in Texas that's deep into, his name's David Scott. He's deep into paper. So if we want to look at like merit badge pamphlets, all the different types of pamphlets are here. And sometimes you'll see a scroll bar here because there are so many different subcategories. But if we look like here and drive in, here are the first 7 from 1919. And let's look a little deeper. And you can actually see the interior of the merit badge pamphlet. And these talk about the ceremonies, the examination process, and everything that was from the teens. you can read that kind of information. Then, in interpreter, there's all the different types of interpreter strips. One of the interesting things is most people have never seen these guys from the 30s. They actually produced white on khaki material. So there were only 4 made during the 32 to 35 period. Okay. Let's go into something like a little bit more common. We'll go into the 10 by 77 breads, which most people are familiar with. These are these guys. And for any of the badges where there is multiple variety, so let's give me just a second, let it load. I'm going to pull up German as an example. And we know that the German interpreter strip came with a gauze back. It came with a gauze with plastic, or it came with just a plastic. So whenever we know these varieties, we put them up, because the site is not about what you should collect. It's about what exists out there in the hobby. What you want to collect is totally up to you. I'll never say your collection is incomplete or is complete. That's your choice. For instance, we've got somebody in Merit Badges that said, well, I just want one title of each one. I don't care what the shape is. That's a marvelous collection. We've got somebody that says, well, I want one of each of the squares. Well, that's a marvelous collection. It's whatever you want to collect. Our job with the website is telling you what we know is out there, not to evaluate or to judge. Excuse me. So, that's a little bit about the site. It has a lot of information. It is growing all the time. As we learn more, we want to get it up there. Now, what we also did is the same thing that stamp collectors and coin collectors do. And that is everything on this site, regardless of whether it's on this page or whether, if we go into the deep sub-varieties, which we call MVE. And by the way, we as a community got together and said, how do we determine issue versus MVE? And it's real simple. If we can't tell you on the phone in about 12 words or less how to see yours as one being different, it's MVE. Because we're not getting down to like the knot guys. So it's sky blue, light sky blue, they got like 12 colors of light blue. There's no way you can determine that. So also time changes color, stuff fades. So, it's just, if we can't describe it over the phone and say, look at this, can you count the stars across the top? Do you have 3 or do you have 4? Big stuff like that it causes variety. But what I was going to say was every badge has a code. Like this one is interpreter 152 German. Okay. The MVEs are marked MVE after that. But everything is coded. Everything is loaded into a database, just like in the coin world and the stamp world. We did this intentionally. And the coding is actually really simple. So in this case, interpreter, we use a short phrase of no more than 6 letters to describe what we're category. And then the 1 means it's in the 1900s. The 5 means it's in the 50s. And the 2 means it's the second variety in the 50s. It's really that simple. We did this so that as you out there in the collecting world say, oh, well, I have one that you guys don't have, and it needs to be inserted. The worst thing we have to do is possibly change the last digit. But in most cases, we just add it on. And that way, if you've already numbered your collection and you're using these numbers, you don't have to renumber anything. Okay, we don't want to screw around with people's numbering system. So the same numbering system is used throughout the entire site. So if we go into like youth and we go to senior patrol leader and you go to hat pins, you'll see here, you know, SPL hat pin, HP, 12101, 1900s, 20s, first issue, okay? And that's throughout the entire site. And again, you know, if you go deep into these, you get the images so that you can, you know, see exactly all the details of what makes this one different from the other ones. So that's about time. I wanted to keep it to about 20 minutes. Questions or comments or suggestions? We have a web developer working. So if you guys think about a piece of functionality that's out there that might be helpful, you know, we're always looking for ideas to make the site better so that in time it becomes the reference. And by the way, this has approval through national. We went several years ago to the National Committee and asked permission, and the National Committee actually gave permission for all of this to be developed and put online so that the images are out there for scouts to enjoy.